Weekly live. It's Friday. I'm about 10 minutes late with my apologies. I'm going to go live every Friday at around 9 o'clock Pacific. And, well, it's 9 o'clock Arizona time, actually, since we don't have daylight savings time. So get ready to toggle with me. But excited to chat with y'all today. We just got off of our 3X Shopify challenge, which was insane. We had 4,000 people opt in, 2,000 people join the group. We closed in on 1,000 people live at one point, which is pretty cool. We also failed miserably at so many things when it comes to event management. That is not an easy job. That just no idea how many moving parts there were. And I'm sure we, maybe teed a few people off, but for the most part, I think the value of the content made up for everything. I hope. So event went really, really well. We offered our masterclass on the heels of the event. I got poked in the ribs a little bit, which was interesting because I felt like we gave quite a bit on the front end, and the whole point was like give value so that people will, see that we're for real. And yeah, we have some opt-ins on our masterclass that I'm really excited about, and I don't know, I'm excited to see where that goes. But here we are. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about whatever you want to talk about. So if you have questions Google Ads related, or we can branch off a little bit if there's something else that I can help answer. Happy to chat about all of that good stuff. Some of the thing that really struck me from the event that I'd love to talk about until the questions start rolling into the chat box. It's just the viability of a business model. We had a really amazing guest speaker come in. His name's Scott Cunningham. He's a friend of mine. He runs Socialite and Merchant Mastery. Really brilliant guy. And the very first slide in his presentation talked market fit. And it was, something of just a kind of an asterisk. And he's like, hey, you got to make sure that, people want to buy your product. Let's move on. And I just feel like, that's somewhere that we might we need to live a little bit more. Having gone through this challenge and talked to a bunch of different people about their business models, Scott said something that was really funny. He's like, people who say, oh yeah, I've run Facebook ads or I've run Google ads and it didn't work. He goes, well, I bet you that, Facebook or Google did their job. They drove a bunch of traffic to your site. The question is just, if the traffic didn't convert, that might be a website problem. So I think that, especially for new businesses out there, it's really important to go out there and make sure that you have a product that your avatar, your niche wants. And that seems like a really stupid kind of, no duh thing to say, but it hasn't been as obvious in my experience with, especially with the newer businesses. There's a lot of folks out there driving traffic to stuff that, there's no chance that it converts or that it sales. So Penny says, why is your bid called Solutions 8? Our business is called Solutions 8 because we used to have 8 core service offerings because I'm an idiot. And I thought we were a full funnel agency. So we were, the sales pitch used to be that we were your entire back end marketing department. You get a full team for less than the cost, or you get an entire team for less than the cost of a full-time employee. And we did, web development, content marketing, SEO, PPC, videography, social media management, et cetera, et cetera. We had 8 offerings. And so you had this, kind of like all of your marketing done in one place. And it was a nightmare to manage. And I had, like an idiot, I had those resources in-house. So I had a videographer on staff. I had an editor on staff, graphic designer, someone to do PPC. And I thought in my naivete that we could be the best at all those things. But really, and a friend of mine put it more succinctly, he goes, oh, you're running 8 businesses. And it wasn't until my business partner joined about 6 years ago now, where he's the one that identified the fact that PPC was the most scalable product we had. And it was interesting because all of the clients that were successful with this, with everything else, were successful in Google Ads first. And so he came to me and he's like, dude, we should focus. And we didn't, he didn't say like only run Google Ads in the beginning, but he's like, we should, this should be at least the tip of the spear. This is where everybody should start. And I thought, oh no, you're new. You don't know what you're talking about. Trust me. And I came along kicking and screaming because I thought it was a bad idea, but turns out it's the best thing we've ever done for our business. So much so that now all we do is Google Ads. It's the only thing. So there's a lot of full funnel agencies out there. There's a lot of people that say they can do everything. I just don't buy it anymore. I don't know how anybody could I look at the amount of time, effort, energy, money that we spend staying up to date just in this one category, just in Google Ads. I mean, I couldn't add one more. I couldn't do this and I don't know, web development. Like, to be the best at both of those things would be really hard. You'd never compromising. You have to choose. So I believe very strongly in hiring the specialists now. And I've lost clients because of that. I had one person say really succinctly, yeah, we just want to write one check. And I was like, all right, well, that's one way to think about it. Like, I understand how that might be a little bit easier. You pay one resource, you vet one resource, you have one client manager, one point of contact. But man, there's just no way they're going to be the best at everything. Bohan said it really well. They do everything but nothing great. That's absolutely true. So I'm not trying to bash the full funnel agencies. I actually know I'm friends with a lot of them just because I'm, in a lot of agency groups, and there's a lot of them that are like great folks, great. Where they tend to be really good is at the strategy. They tend to be really good at kind of like the overarching high level, like this is what your business should be doing strategy. And then they overextend by then, trying to amplify the value of that relationship and doing the work themselves. Where a full funnel agency can make sense is when they're outsourcing the pieces. So we do a lot of white label work. There are a lot of agencies that actually outsource their PPC to us. And, if you've got somebody who's like the quarterback, and then they're pushing their SEO to the best SEO, they're pushing their PPC to the best PPC agency, and they're pushing their content to the best content agency. Now I can see how sewing that together would really produce stellar results. And with them at the helm, it would be a lot more expensive because it's going to be more expensive for an agency to outsource the work to me than it will be for them to bring it in-house themselves. But the quality hopefully makes up for that. So. And I think this is true for, I'm a Google Ads guy, so obviously I'm partial with Google Ads, but I think this is true for everything. We needed cold email help. So I went to Upwork and I found the most expensive, best rated folks on the planet. They ended up being the world authority in cold email, and they were expensive, but they also got us so much farther along, so much faster than, somebody who, was kind of figuring it out or half-assing it. That's the other thing too, that I've come to realize with vendors is, the folks that there's so much that people don't know that they don't know. It's true for Google Ads. I've talked to some people that are running Google Ads and they're like, well, I took the certification, and it's like, gosh, man, that means not only did you not even scratch the surface, but you actually went in the wrong direction because the certification is all wrong. And, I talked to, before I hired the guys that we hired, which is B2B Bandits, by the way. I'm not trying to be cryptic. They're great, and I don't mind promoting them at all. They did a good job. B2B Bandits for your cold email needs. I'm not an affiliate. But before I hired B2B Bandits, I ended up on the phone with a few other people just trying to vet. And, there were folks that just, they didn't have all of that extra context. So I learned the same lesson with SEO. I ended up, we still were offering SEO as a service, and we were doing okay at it. But I had a client who had a problem that I couldn't solve. And it was a really important client to me. And so I just went and I found the highest ranked, most expensive SEO consultant I could find. His name was Michael Cottam, and 15 minutes with him solved a problem that I had spent 2 months on. And it was interesting. He was really kind. He's like, yeah, I've seen this before. I know exactly why y'all are struggling with it. Nobody else has cracked the code on this either. Here's what we figured out to do. So it's not that he was, 2 months of my time was worth 15 minutes of his. It's that he had so much more experience and so many more clients that he'd already been through all the other things. And, it was 6 months for him to solve the problem the first time, but I got to accelerate that learning lesson. He's amazing too, by the way. So if you need technical SEO help, go look up Michael Cottam. Really brilliant guy. He's not inexpensive, but he's unbelievably efficient. You could spend $350 an hour on him and get something done in 2 or 3 hours, or you could spend, a couple $1,000s a month with some SEO agency who's spinning their wheels and, giving you hundreds of hours, but not moving the needle. So that's my soapbox for the day. We've got some attendees. What questions do y'all have? Anything in the Google Ads realm that I can help with in the entrepreneurial space if I'll continue to reach? We've got a couple membership agencies too. If y'all have questions about memberships, I can probably answer some of that. Mostly what we've done wrong. Community management is tough. I've got a whole Facebook feed of people that are asking me questions now from the 3X Shopify Challenge. And I'm just like, I have no idea how I'm going to get back to all of these. I probably won't, to be frank. I think I'm going to declare Facebook bankruptcy. It occurs to me that when I joined Digital Marketer in the very beginning, if I had chatted Ryan Deiss, I wouldn't necessarily have gotten a hold of him. And so I think I need to assume that paradigm. Not to say I'm anywhere near Ryan, but when you're heading up a community like that, especially a free one, it's tough to connect with everyone. Jan's here. Hey, Jan, how you doing? Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the challenge. Appreciate you. Let me know if y'all have any questions. If you don't, I don't have much prepared to talk about, so I think I might give myself some time back and go get ready for my day's meetings. Penny says, are you hiring? We're always hiring. We're looking for Google Ads specialists. So anybody who's an absolute, complete, total assassin at Google Ads, specialist or strategist. Specialist is kind of, tier 1, manages the campaigns. A strategist oversees everything. And then I'm always looking for client managers. Client managers need to have Google Ads experience and client management experience. And I will say that this is maybe one of the hardest jobs anybody could possibly have. Our expectations are very high. If a client emails, we get right back to them. We don't tolerate anything in the realm of brushing it under the rug. So I can tell you that it's a tough gig, but it's really fulfilling because all the work we do has been amazing. We've helped small businesses explode, and those are all of our clients. We don't have any big enterprise clients, or not many. I shouldn't say any. We don't have many, and I don't know why that is. I don't think we show very well. I don't think that we're very polished. We don't have the big ivory tower office, and obviously I look one day from homeless, and we don't have big proposals or presentations or pitch decks or any of those things. And so I think we miss out on that work because we don't jump through those hoops. But what's cool now is the last year or two for us, the people who know refer us the work. So, we've been getting some pretty cool stuff just because there's, we sort of got figured out. Yeah, Jan's saying, thanks for hosting the challenge. Thanks for coming. Slobodan, hit the website. You'll see a contact form. You can submit through the form and then let us know what role you're interested in, and I'll direct that to whoever the director of the department is, and they'll let you know the process to go through and what kind of help they're looking for. Calvin says, Cosm alone worth a team in itself. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, if you missed the challenge, by the way, we're selling the recordings for what I think is an insane, I hope, an insane value. So if you want to, you can go to 3xshopify.com/recordings, and it's $95. And for $95, you get all the recordings, and then you also get access to the action-based checklists, which there's an insane amount of value in those. We had the gentleman we just hired as part of our writing team, Brian. I said, hey man, take some notes for everybody, and he you can see it here. He crushed it. Just absolutely crushed it. Let me move myself back over so I can see what y'all see. But this is the notes from day one, and he included links to our YouTube channel and other places that you might want to go. And he just absolutely killed it. So if you buy the recordings, I think they're worth it. That's my opinion. And not that $95 is $0, but it's a pretty low investment, a pretty low chance if you didn't see what was going on. If you saw what was going on, the value that we dropped. It was insane. Here we go. Newport has a question. Can Feed App by Simprosys be used instead of Data Feed Watch? There's a ton of Data Feed Watch alternatives out there. I've only used Data Feed Watch successfully. So we have demoed other products without success. I've never heard of Simprosys. I would go try it out. Data Feed Watch gave our members 2 months free, which was insane. And I think that link is still active. So if y'all wanna go use that and demo Data Feed Watch, I'll drop that link in the chat here too. I don't anticipate that being active for very long. But yeah, 2 months on Data Feed Watch. So go play with that. Is it ever better to run maximize clicks versus maximize conversions? Yeah, so maximize clicks is interesting because you're basically telling Google, hey, I know for a fact whatever fence I've put around this is rock solid. So if you're going after a specific audience, like an in-market audience, or you're going after specific keywords, although that's getting a little bit more nebulous, or you're going after a specific geography, or some combination of all those things, or other factors, and you don't have a stratified or scaled lead quality. You're just like, look, I want to be in front of everybody. So, what I might do is geographically speaking, let's say I wanted to target this neighborhood because we're about to, we're a new restaurant and we're opening up in this neighborhood. That's maybe a bad example, but it's the best one that comes to mind. I would just say, geo target here, maximize clicks. That means that you're going to get the most amount of clicks for the least amount of money, which actually means you're getting the cheapest traffic, which actually means you also might be getting the least qualified traffic. But if for you, all leads are created equal, then that's perfectly fine. So maximize clicks if you feel really confident with your targeting. I hope that's helpful. I don't know how to say your name without cursing. Society. Jan says, I have a question. I work with a client in fashion. They have different variants of the items, different sizing, but they're all in the same URL. I have to continue in the next message. Shopping team told me to create each variant as a separate product in Merchant Center, but that poses dynamic remarketing problems because then we need to have multiple IDs on the same site. Is there a way to have variants on the same URL, or should we just do one version of the product, in your opinion? Man, the shopping team told you to create each variant as a separate product in Merchant Center. That feels like flawed logic to me because you're going to have the ability to identify variants inside of Merchant Center. So I don't know that is there more of a use case there, Jan, that I don't understand? What was the catalyst that had them give you that advice? And while we're waiting on Jan to drop that in, I'm just curious as to how many of the folks that are watching now were at the 3x Shopify Challenge, because we got a ton of new subscribers from that too. And while Leon's typing, anybody else with any questions, please feel free to drop them in. Happy to help any way that I can. If y'all aren't familiar with it, I'll do a quick sales pitch, and I promise to make it quick. But we've got a e-commerce masterclass coming up June 1st. Pretty epic value. It's on the heels of the 3x Shopify Challenge, so you'll actually get the recordings of the challenge as well. But we're doing an 8-day live e-commerce masterclass. And so 8-day live, day one, we're going over, the business of e-commerce, then setting up your foundation, technical and legal requirements, connecting your tech stack, shopping campaigns, search campaigns, expansion campaigns, and then optimization. And it starts June 1st. So it's every weekday between June 1st and June 10th. We take the weekend off. As you can see, the 5th and the 6th aren't there. The live course is 9 a.m. To 11 a.m. So it's 2 hours a day. We'll go maybe a little bit longer. But we also have a bunch of bonuses. So we're going to turn that into a course with worksheets and fun stuff. You'll get lifetime access to that course. You'll also get lifetime access to our You versus Google course, which legitimately sells for $1,000 incidentally. And by the way, for anybody that bought the You versus Google course, you get this credited towards the purchase of that. So let me know, and we'll make sure that you get taken care of. We're also going to have coaching sessions every 2 weeks after the masterclass, so that you can follow up and make sure that you're optimizing and see what questions you have. We're going to shoot a Facebook ads crash course that shows you how we use Facebook ads specifically to feed smart shopping. And then we've booked a deal with Ed Leak to get you access to his PPC performance framework. And all that's $2,000. So I think it's quite a steal as far as education is concerned. So if y'all are interested, I'll drop that in the chat too. It's just 3xshopify.com/go. Would love to see you there. Let's see. We've got some responses now. Bohan's asking Jan if you're using the manual feed in Merchant Center. And then Jan said they basically said the best practice is to have, for example, product XYS, product XYM, and so on, so the user knows it's their size. The product delineation in the feed is important, but you can identify product variants. And that's actually a really important thing to do, because the product variants can be used as the tip of the spear when you go out and try to find more people who want that particular product. So for instance, one of the things that we've done is we'll market the product that's the cheapest price in the variant list, and where that product ends up having the attribution from a ROAS perspective, it's not necessarily the one that's purchased. Right? So you're marketing the small product across the board, but then it's the medium or large product that ends up being purchased. I might not be understanding your question, Jan. Forgive me if that's the case. I have a problem selling Google Ads as a boutique agency. Most people don't want to gamble with $1,500 a month. Is it okay to start them at $200 to run a test 30 days at a time? I'm going to say no, man. I'm sorry. And this is maybe a bullish opinion. We tell clients that $2,000 a month is a minimum. We'll actually take some clients at $1,000 a month. And that's in spend, by the way. My fee is more than that in some cases. If they're in a really niche business, you can do some damage with $1,000 a month. Anything beneath that, you can still be successful on Google for sure, but it's tough. It's tough to justify your existence as an agency because, let's say you're working for cheap. Let's say that you could even be doing it for free. If they're spending less than $1,000 a month, you don't have the data that you would need to actively optimize that campaign. Now you're spending more time waiting than you are working. And so if you're charging them anything, they're actually kind of paying you to twiddle your thumbs. So, I felt it was more integrous to just say, hey, let's bring on the clients that can afford to pay Google an amount of money that allows us to identify improvement opportunities in a data-driven way. And, there are a ton of agents out there that'll I actually don't mind bashing them either, like Reach Local. If y'all know Reach Local or Logical Position, there are some amazing Google Ads agencies out there. Those two are not them. And they'll tell clients, oh yeah, all you need is, $500 a month, $700 a month or whatever. And then I end up seeing the accounts that they build later and they're atrocious. So, I hope that's not too aggressive. Bohan's saying, I found it best to have only one parent product in shopping since all variants are already on the same page. I agree. And that's kind of what I was trying to say earlier, which is using the product that you think is going to be the most accessible. Use one product inside the feed and then trust the variants, assuming that the variants are analogous to each other. So if your variant is like actually a different product, which I see all the time, somebody has a t-shirt and then under the t-shirt, they have 5 different variants. They're actually 5 separate t-shirts. I don't consider that to be a product variant. I consider that to be a different product. But if your product variants are like small, medium, large, then use the most accessible product inside of the feed. And then that product is going to feed the other product variants once somebody lands on the page because they're all on the same page. And I think that's what Bohan was saying too. Let me know if y'all agree or disagree with what I just said. It's weird to me though that I don't know. And this is what caught me up is when you said the shopping team told me to have each variant as a separate URL. Like, I don't know why they would do that. That's strange. And that's the other thing too is Google says some of the dumbest stuff sometimes when I hear what support people say. I'm just like, gosh, how did you get this job? Who trained you? Yeah, that was what Bohan was saying. Okay, so we're all on the same page. Cool. Different colors of the same product, which is different product in the feed and also has a different URL. That gets a little, if it's like the exact same everything and there's mild color differences, it's up to you as to how it is that you want to split it up. We have noticed that in the realm of feed optimization, it can make a pretty big impact on, what people are willing to engage with. I'd also be really careful. I see this on Amazon a lot. One product has so many variants that it's actually hard to shop for. You put yourself in a position where it's like, I don't even know how to drill down on this thing. I'm just going to bounce. So, and that's maybe less of a paid traffic thing than it is just e-commerce. Be really careful about, there's the paradox of choice. There's a really fun study that was done. It was the ABA- study. And what they found was people want to be able to compare things. And so if you put a picture of Brad Pitt and George Clooney side by side and you ask a bunch of people who's more attractive, you're going to have 50% of them say Brad Pitt and 50% of them say George Clooney. And the reason for that, and I don't know why that's the one that they chose, but that's the one that they chose. The reason for that is because those two products, quote unquote, aren't comparable. They're actually two different categories. But if you give people a picture of Brad Pitt, George Clooney, and then an ugly Brad Pitt, so you have a third picture and you use Photoshop to ugly up Brad Pitt, and then you ask everybody the same thing, the pretty bad Brad Pitt comes out on top by a significant margin. So what ends up happening psychologically is people kind of dismiss George Clooney because there's nothing to compare Clooney against. And now all they're doing is they're comparing ugly Brad Pitt and good-looking Brad Pitt, and they go choose good-looking Brad Pitt. So often you want to give people the thing to say no to, but it's more or less comparable. And that's, not always the case in product variants, but for instance, you could have like, the size that you don't necessarily want to sell at a price that you don't necessarily want to sell it at. So people think like, oh goodness, I'm getting, the better deal if I go here. You kind of give them the opportunity to very quickly make that decision. But if there's too many choices, I see this in the SaaS world all the time, to where somebody's got, there's 17 different packages or 7, and the price delineations are, 5, 10, 15, 20. And now it's like, I don't even know where I belong, and I have to go here and I have to learn your SaaS product in order to understand your feature set. So I'm not going to do any work. I'm just going to bounce and do it later. There's a company, let's see if they still do it. I actually use them, and I'm a fan of their product. No, they fixed this. Although this still isn't great. So let me go pick on these guys. This is OptinMonster. I like OptinMonster. I'm a user. We're a subscriber. How do I get out of here? I don't want to do that. What an annoying interstitial. It's from OptinMonster. So this is what I'm talking about. You have $10, $20, $30, $50. Those numbers are too close to make a substantive difference. What they should have, my opinion, is $10, 30, maybe $40, and then $150. And now I get to come in here and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to try this $10 thing. But now, for me to make a decision between 10 and 20 and have to go figure out what it is that I get and what it is that I don't get, whether or not I need any of this stuff, like that's kind of a waste of time, because for your target demographic, which is a business owner, there's no difference between $10 and $20 a month. So, if they were to go, from 10 to 30 or even bump this up a little bit, now it's like, okay, do I want to, spend a token amount of money and just test this thing, or is there anything in here that I need? Nope. So that's kind of the price comparison paradigm that I'd ask you to choose. Now, you have to imagine they've split test this page. So if you work at OptinMonster and you have more data on this than I do, let me know. But the way that this looks right now, I feel like this is confusing. You just want to give somebody who does this really well. Let's go see if MailChimp's, MailChimp had a great pricing page for a while. See if it's still there. Yeah, this is it. This is it exactly. So first of all, they reversed the order, which I think is really interesting. And I think that's actually interesting too, because you read from left to right generally. And so you kind of get a little bit in the way of sticker shock, and you're like, oh, wow, MailChimp's expensive. I had no idea. Oh, but wait a minute, I can get it for $15 a month. And, I'd rather this be a little bit higher than that, from 300 to 15, like these two are very close. I think this would be more interesting at like 40, 40 or 50. But what's cool about this is I know exactly where I live. If I'm a big business and I don't mind spending a little bit of money, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to go get the $300 thing and play with it. But otherwise, it allows people to funnel themselves instantly. I think the people that do the best at this, and I have to open this one in an incognito window because I'm a user, so they customize my experience. But HubSpot, man, their pricing. So here's their marketing pricing: free, $45, $800, $3,200. None of these, I could never be confused. So if I go into MailChimp, these two, now I got to sit here and hum and haw. If I go to OptinMonster, I look at all of these and I have to hum and haw. With HubSpot, it's like, well, I can't afford $3,200 a month. $800 is a little rich for my blood. I'm going to go try it the 45. Or I can't afford 3,200. 45 doesn't do it for me. I'm going to go choose the 800. So I can land on this page and just instantly know what's accessible to me based off of my my threshold for paying. And they do it at every level, which is really cool. Now, because they have so many products, that's one beef I do have with HubSpot, is it's just hard to figure out, like, well, which one of these do I need? And that's just a byproduct of the fact that they've gotten so big. Talk about an amazing piece of software. We're actually canceling them because High Levels replaced everything that we need. But their bundles kind of make up for that a little bit. And then I didn't even know that this existed. This confuses me. Like, I look at this, I'm like, oh, you want me to do work? I don't want to do work. But anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. I hope that was helpful. Similar thing is when you have two choices of popcorn, small and large, let's say 5 and 8, most people go for a small, but if you introduce a medium for 7, most will go for a large. Yeah, that's exactly right. You want to give them the thing to say no to. Another question from Jan. On the challenge live stream, I've asked if you separate account by countries instead of MCC, and John advised not to, just split the campaigns by country. Had it like that before. My question is, would you track conversions for each country separately or all within the same action? I think so. That's a dimensions question. That's one level of analysis among many. And I think that you can split up your conversions by country without necessarily going out of your way to separate the conversion actions by country. And you could just look at that from a data standpoint if you want to see if countries are outperforming others. and again, I'm so sorry. I think I might continue to be understanding you, but so hopefully this doesn't sound combative. I think you might be overthinking it. You know, splitting it up by country is going to be helpful because there's going to be nuances to each country, maybe shipping or language or whatever. But then beyond that, I don't know that you really need to change your technical infrastructure on a per country basis. Heidi says, this week was invaluable. Thank you so much for doing the insanity workout on my brain. Love, blessings, and peace. Thanks, Heidi. Really appreciate you. Alejandro, is there a better way to track phone conversions? I feel like Google isn't tracking calls appropriately. Do you recommend buy affordable landing page builders? So that's two questions for Alejandro. First is we use call tracking metrics. And actually, I'm going to shoot a video on call tracking metrics as part of my course. I've got a video on our YouTube channel on how we manually import calls inside of call tracking metrics. Let's go see if I can find that for you real quick. So Google's call tracking is not great. I don't know. It's in our YouTube. Sorry, y'all. I don't want to just make you sit here while I go through this. It's in our YouTube channel somewhere. But what we do is we use call tracking metrics because call tracking metrics reports on Gclid really well. And then we have a member of our team that actually goes through and scores every single call individually. It's binary. It's like it was a lead or it wasn't. And then we manually import those back into Google Ads every couple of weeks. And that gives us squeaky clean data because what Google wants you to do is use time-based, like if this call was 60 seconds, then it was a lead. And that's an abysmal way to go about it because, 20% of the time will that call be a lead. You can get solicitors, competitors, people looking for competitors. Sometimes just based off of the way that the call tracking works, you could have a 60-second call that's just ringing, depending on how robust your voicemail is. So I'd use call tracking metrics. As far as landing page builders, I'm actually kind of off the landing page game, to be honest with you. We used Lead Pages for a really long time. I liked their builder, but we drive traffic straight to pages on the website. I don't like squeeze pages anymore unless it's a very, very accessible offer. Think like impulse buy. But I like pages that are on your website that are really robust, have consistent calls to actions, tons of content. Statistically, it's 2.5 clicks and 3.5 pages before somebody converts. And so sending somebody to a squeeze page doesn't align with that paradigm. But giving them the opportunity to land on a page that's really valuable and then go throughout the rest of your site, I think is that's a more effective model. Your second most trafficked page is going to be your about page. So you want people are interested in mission, vision, values, those types of things. So I'd keep them on your site. Jan has to jump. Thanks for being here. Next said, thanks, Doc. Appreciate that. Cool. If y'all don't mind, I'm gonna hop. We've been going for about a half hour, which I think is good. And I've got stuff I got to play catch up on. So sometimes I like to be here a little bit longer, but today I'm going to ask for a little bit in the way of grace and jump ship. But really appreciate everybody that shows up. Thank you so much. I'm going to go live every Friday, 9:00 Arizona time. If you came to the challenge, thank you so much. And otherwise, I will see y'all.